Hello, we are talking today about portals. Portals within time, that is within our dimension where time is a construct. And we have just been discussing the fact that when somebody dies, for the people left, it actually opens a portal or another timeline which wasn't there before. What do you say, Peter?
Portals are opportunities for energies to present themselves and to depart. The fluctuations of energy that come and go. The portals of birth and death are one and the same. And
in and out, as it were.
The fluctuations and the manifestations and demanifestations of life present themselves, and we often celebrate or reflect on these actual comings and goings, don't we? Which we can term as portals.
Portals actually must be access points. Access points in and access points out. So exits and entrances will only be possible when certain portals open.
Mm-hmm.
So isn't it? So death. I mean, people think of death as sometimes as very cheap and very easy, and certainly it's all around us. But death can only take place under certain conditions. Now, we can't cognize or understand those conditions except from maybe a physical or clinical point of view. But there are vibrations that surround, I think, the death experience that would explain a portal as being wider than just the human aura or the human frequency. So there is a widening, there's a tearing of, some people would call it the veil between here and the hereafter.
Yeah, it's interesting, this subject of portals, because I often think of Capricorn, the star sign of Capricorn, and the myth of Janus, who had one head looking backwards in time, in history, at the old year, and one new face looking forward into the new year, into the future.
Well, yes.
And obviously that's perhaps one of the most prevalent of portals.
Yeah, the new year, which of course is a calendar thing, because in the old term the calendar was different before the Roman calendar.
Yeah.
So the time being a construct is a good illustration of time and portals not necessarily being the same thing, but being mutually inclusive.
Yeah, I see it as an issue also of accessibility, of having access or not having access, and it's Saturn and Capricorn, because
gateways.
Portals open at specific times.
Yes.
Due to,
as in death and birth.
Yeah, due to natural laws, and these portals open and close. So it is an issue of accessibility and access being denied.
But I think people can also open certain portals themselves. I think you can spin timelines or new timelines when you intend the mind.
Yes.
But this is where meditation comes in, because I think when people are in a deeper state of consciousness than their normal daily state, they will have access to a sort of taxiing in to certain portals or timelines that then they can connect with. And I think now we are realizing that, for instance, if you have a purpose to life, then you may tend to live. You could cure yourself from illness, because your purpose is greater than the timeline you're in, which is actually maybe declining or decaying. And so to positively intend a new purpose is to open a portal to a new timeline.
I would concur with that. Also, adding to that, to my mind, when I think of portals, I also think of self-discipline.
Which is Saturn.
Meditation is a form of self-discipline, of course, but when we discipline ourselves, when we are focused on self-limitations of not doing this and doing that, for the reasons of self-discipline, we do open and have access to new doorways. New doorways open up because of self-disciplines. But where disciplines are lacking, that's where the issue of non-accessibility.
Because it's about resonation, isn't it?
It's
so the discipline through meditation, etc., is caused by refining the mind to certain frequency, and it's the resonation of that frequency with our own frequency, or the heightening of our frequency to resonate with another frequency that causes that access point or that portal to appear.
It's as if the unlocking of a door or of a safe, if you like, has to be dependent on a particular set of circumstances, or, as you say, resonances. You know, unlocking the code or unlocking the lock only happens with certain disciplines.
Yeah. Yes.
And this was reflected in certain fairy tales, wasn't it? Where you would only gain access to things if you went through a certain prescribed set of rules or rituals.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it's very interesting.
That's the ritualistic practice of observation and harnessing the mind is the most important thing. I mean, intending the mind is the strongest thing you can do. When you intend the mind, when you have a strong intention, the mind focuses, and the attention follows the intention.
In ancient Rome, it was interesting, in ancient Rome, going back to the myth of Janus, I think the gates of Janus were only opened in times of war and were closed in times of peace. So portals are also opened at specific times for specific opportunities and a set of circumstances.
Like the Northern Lights, for instance, or the Aurora Borealis, as it's called, will only appear under certain conditions. So it's definitely an opening of a portal.
Yes, when we step forward or step backward, we can often see things differently and from different angles and perspectives. So, proverbially speaking, metaphorically speaking, taking a step back or step forward is also akin to opening portals as well.
There's an interesting exercise that I discovered, and it's looking into a mirror in your house or your home. If you look, say there's a mirror and it's opposite a door, and beyond that door, you're in a room and there's a door out of the room, and beyond the door out of the room is a passageway. There may be another room. Now try looking in the mirror, so backwards at the view from that door.
Yeah.
Through that door, it's as if you're looking at a totally different scene. Sometimes it can change everything. Or a mirror placed so that you look out of a window onto a street.
Yes, or a particular hue of light, like twilight.
But the very function of changing that perspective, that view from the mirror, because it's reversed, is a way of opening a new portal.
Yes.
And it's very hard to describe why, but it's a very interesting exercise to try, and you get to see what I'm getting at.
Traditionally, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting. Traditionally, there were 4 portals in the circuit of day. There would be, for the sake of argument, 6 a.m. as sunrise. So there'd be the portal of sunrise. Then there would be the portal of midday, which would be 12 o'clock, for argument's sake. Then there would be 6 p.m. or tea time or dusk, twilight. And then there would be midnight, of course, at 12 p.m. So
the twilight thing between daylight and darkness is one of the most powerful access points or portals between worlds.
There you go.
Which is why the old faith and Wicca and witchcraft use such a point.
And it's not without good reason. It's not an accident that in the fairy law, in elemental law, you could see certain other hierarchies of life at these particular times.
That's right.
Like magical times were associated with twilight and midnight.
Yeah, there's the famous
midday and midsummer. Even
the solstice and the equinox.
The portals of the yearling. You know, the equinoxes and the solstices.
Yes, very, very powerful.
These are powerful times,
and they're more powerful at certain points within the geographical radius of the earth than at others.
And of course we have monuments to these portals, like Stonehenge,
and some are very ancient, and we'll not know what the actual power is. Well, not yet, I don't think, if ever.
It's about being aware of when these portals present, or being available at these times of times of opportunity. Where energies are of a certain, energies are certainly refined at these times, definitely.
Portals and time. Portals can only exist because there is time, because time and space is one thing, and portals lead to another dimension beyond time and space.
I think I'm right in saying, Lynn, that statistically a lot of people die around these portals in the year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that.
Mid-summer, mid-winter. A lot of, obviously people are born all around the year, but I know that it has been said that a lot of souls congregate around the times of midsummer and midwinter, for example, because they're like the polar opposites.
Discarnate souls, you mean? Or
people coming and going.
So it's the
manifestation.
Hatched, matched, and dispatched.
It's interesting.
Hatched and dispatched, anyway.
This subject is.
There was the ancients and up to the modern times. There was always a point or a time for doing certain things, for celebrating, for giving thanks, and so on. There were set times for harvesting, for growing, and within the psyche there were set times when it was better to do certain things because they must have sensed portals.
It's a natural flow.
Portals of energy that aren't obvious, that aren't evidently there.
The natural flow. I mean,
times.
we often refer to dawn, don't we? Dawn, the dawning of a new day, which is so psychologically, metaphorically significant for us all. Or the closing of a day, where the doors are closed. And where we close the doors.
Is that the eras change, and it's subtle when you look back at programmes or documentaries about different decades, different eras, and they're not all that long ago, but the atmosphere and the climate and the approach and the mindset of a decade changes quite dramatically from one decade to the other, and it's hard to say just why that happens. But again, that's a good example, decades of portals of time. So next time we probably will be talking about the overshadowing of nature into individual or human consciousness. And thank you very much for joining us.